Good morning, in Anambra. You're still on Good Morning, Anambra. And my name is Fosna Mary Okoye. Today is a very special day for Anambra children and African children also. Today is the day of the African child. So we're here to commemorate it on the television. The Day of the African Child is a very special day in the lives of African children because it reminds of what happened in Soweto in the past 40 years. So with me here, my co-presenter is
Zekwes.
The African child. The Day of the African Child reminds us that we have children, and also we don't just ignore the children. The Day of the African Child reminds us that our children have right to education, they have right to social welfare, and they also have a right to life, which must and should be recognized and implemented too. So with us here, we have Mrs. Chukwube Ezekwike, our guest, who is going to help us to speak on the topic, implementing the child right law in Anambra State. She here is a legal practitioner, a former legal practitioner, resident counsel, International Federation of Lawyers, FIDA, from 2016 to 2019. She's currently into private litigation. You're welcome, Barrister.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So, Barrister, you're very welcome to the program. And before we kick off, we'd like to take a look first at what today is all about.
1991, the Day of the African Child has been celebrated on June 16th to commemorate students who lost their lives during the Soweto uprising in South Africa and to recognize the courage of the students who marched for the right to an education. On June 16, 1976, nearly 10,000 black students from Soweto, South Africa, marched the streets to protest the poor quality of their education. They marched as a way to demonstrate their disapproval of the Black Education Act, which segregated students based on their race. Hundreds of innocent students were shot by security forces. And in the 2 weeks of the protest that followed, dubbed the Soweto uprising, more than 100 students were killed and thousands were badly injured.
Every year we celebrate the Day of the African Child. I recall my experience. Then I was in primary school, and that was in 1979. That was the year that there was this song that they taught us in school then. It was the International Year of the Child, a year of grace, a year of peace, a year of dedication. So, I mean, ever since then, it has stuck to my heart. So every other year that the celebration comes up, it's a time for us to look at the African child in terms of what opportunities are we providing for the African child, looking at what the government is doing, and even at the family level, what the parents are doing. And for a child, we're looking at opportunities for education, looking at opportunities for, for food, for clothing, and for children to have a conducive environment where they can play, and opportunities for them to grow. So that's usually what comes to my mind any year we celebrate International Year of the Child.
The themes for this year's celebration is access to child-friendly justice system in Africa.
The theme is significant for Nigeria because children face widespread violation of their human rights, as evidenced by the 2014 National Survey on Violence Against Children, which finds that 6 out of 10 children suffer one form of violence or the other. Although Nigeria adopted the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter on Rights and Welfare of the Child, through the 2003 Child Act, which provides a legal framework for child rights standards and child justice administration in Nigeria, implementation is low, and since the adoption of the Act, only 25 out of 36 states have domesticated the law to date.
How has that singular Soweto uprising affected positively on the life of the African child?
The African child is a day set aside by the Organization of African Nations to commemorate and remember the downtrodden children of Africa. The plight of the Nigerian child is in a sorry situation. Children, you hear nowadays, children are being raped even as toddlers. They are being subjected to different kinds of situations, hawking on the street, malnutrition, all as a result of extreme poverty. They have little attention from the society. The society no longer take care of the child as it used to be before. People are only after their own interests. In the process, they stampede on the collective interest of the society. So the African child is at the extreme, the receiving end of the negativities of the society.
Generally, African children are marginalized. They are not properly cared for. They don't even have good education, not even good food and good environment. But if I should bring it home now, you see a lot of things when you go to social media, you see a lot of things that are happening to especially Nigerian children these days. Like under this COVID, even before the COVID, you see a lot of them out there begging. Some will be hired, then they will beg for adults, after which they are either given stipends or nothing, and then they go home. These children don't go to schools. Then some of them are subjected to child labor. You see little children, when they were supposed to be in school, they'll be hawking pure water, they'll be hawking vegetable, fruits and all that. And then with what is going on now, you see a lot of them being raped. These are things that the UN, the government, if parents, adults should look into, so that we can do the much we should to protect these our children.
What role has the media played in making life better for the child?
I think it starts at the family level as parents. I'm very glad that in Anambra State the government has outlawed hawking. So parents should no longer allow their kids, when they should be in school, to be out there on the street hawking. So that's number one. Number two is to ensure that kids are going to school. And again, we like what's happening in Anambra State. We have an education-friendly government, and we can see due to the support given to the educational sector, students in Anambra State and pupils have been winning laurels for the state. So we want to see more opportunities. Even it's an opportunity also to talk about what the Ministry of Basic Education is doing in this COVID-19 era, with the Anambra teaching on air. So what we're doing is to say, yes, there's a lockdown, yes, the kids are at home, but still we're giving them opportunities for them to get education, for them to get the relevant knowledge they need to progress in life. Yes.
The Day of the African Child is also an opportunity to raise awareness for the ongoing needs to improve the education of children living across Africa. It is a need that still very much exists today. Of the 57 million primary school-age children currently out of school across the world, over half are from sub-Sahara Africa.
Welcome back in the program. As we've seen the brief history of the Day of the African Child, it's all about enlightening, bringing awareness about the importance of education and also the other rights in the life of the child. You have something to chip in?
Yeah, just like she said, the Day of the African Child is a very special day in the lives of the children of Anambra State, Africa, and the world, the universe at large. It reminds us, it takes us back to the chronicles that took place on this day in 1976, when the children were making a public protest for the importance of education in Soweto, South Africa, 44 years ago.
So starting off, Barrister, Ma, there seems to be a lot of confusion as to who a child is. So I want to ask you this question. Who can be described as a child?
Okay, a child can be described as a minor, someone who has not attained the age of adulthood or the age of majority. And of course, who is an adult? An adult is someone who is more than 18 years of age. Now, the Child Rights Act of 2003 helped us with that definition and said that a child is a person who has not attained age of 18 years. So I'm sure I'm more than 18 years, I'm no more a child. Probably Mary is less than 18 years. So if you're less than 18 years, that means it is the likes of you that we are celebrating today.
Okay. Thank you very much.
To add to that, Barrister, what are the child rights and what are the examples of the rights of children?
Okay, we have the rights of children are well enumerated in so many laws that guides and protects the interests of children in Africa, in Nigeria, in Anambra State. That of Anambra State, we have the Child's Right Law of Anambra State, which came into force in 2004. And if you go to that section of the law, under Part 2 of that Child's Right Law of Anambra State, we have so many rights of children. We have right to name, that a child has right to have a name. We have right to survival and development. We have right to private and family life. That is where the need for proper parental upbringing comes up. We have right to freedom of movement, those are for children. We have right to free and compulsory basic education. That is also the awareness we are creating today. Then we also have, so many of them, we have right not to be tortured, that's of the children not to be tortured. We have rights not to be used in illicit dealings, in criminal activities. Plethora of rights are then enumerated under the Child's Right Law of Anambra State.
I would like to have a question, to ask you a question. What are the 4 principal conventions? I mean, what are the things that brought about, there must be something that brought about the establishment. What made the world powers to see that there's a need to establish the Child Right Law?
Okay, just like you mentioned, the 4 cardinal principles of the convention that protects the rights of children. One is that a child should not be discriminated, whether by color, race, gender, religion. Because you're a Muslim, you're not supposed to partake in one activity or the other, or disability or physical impairment. If a child has disabilities, you shouldn't discriminate that child. As I was coming into ABS, I saw a part meant for disabled children, and it gave me joy. If we have such things in different organizations, in different parastatals, you will find that the rights of disabled children are also maintained. Then we also, the second part of the principle we are talking about is that the interests of a child should be protected at all times. In other words, we all know that the interest of children is of paramount consideration. An example of this is where we have family crises. Yes, recently we have a lot of family disputes arising from crises from husband and wife. And if it is not properly controlled, they resort to litigation, where they come to court to start arguing on who takes custody of a child. Now, if you are a judicial officer or an officer in charge of that matter, you should also consider the fact that the interest of the child is of paramount consideration. You don't think about what makes the father happy or what makes the mother happy. What you should consider is which of the parents will this child be with that will give her basic education, that will give her proper moral upbringing, that will protect her interest or his or her interest as a child. That is the second core principle. Then the third core principle is that a child has right to survival and development. The fourth one is that at any time a matter that concerns the child is in question, that child should be able to air his or her view. If the custody of a child is in question, a 14-year-old child, the parents are in court arguing on who takes custody, and a judge or a magistrate in charge of that case just gives custody to the mother or gives custody of that child to the father, without at least calling the attention of that child, a 14-year-old child, a 12-year-old child, there should be an enabling environment to call that child. Who do you want to be with? That is where the interest of a child comes into play. That is when the view of the child is considered. So those are the core principles that guide the interest of a child.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You remember the phone lines are on the screen, so you can call the numbers on the screen if you have something to say. Now we're going to call on a fashion show, a video fashion show by Anambra children.
Abia na Abia State. Okike nkere bụ okike ndị Igbo n'oke. Anyị nwekwa okike ọzọ mana anyị chọrọ nke nke a ngosipụta okike anyị n'oke. Ahụrụ bụ n'anya maka ndị Igbo kpochapụ ụmụaka anya na agụmakwụkwọ na-ekuzikwa ha maka ezi omume. Aha m bụ Nnachi Udozo. Abụ m onye Ọka na-esi. Ihe eji mara ndị Ọka bụ a na-akpụ ụzụ.
And I would like to continue. Barrister, when we use the term no discrimination, what does it mean, especially when it relates to the child?
We're talking about no discrimination against a child. We're also talking about the interests of a child. When you're talking about not discriminating amongst children, I have said it before, you don't discriminate because of the age of the child. You don't discriminate because she's black. That is actually what happened in 1976 when these children of Soweto came out of the street. They didn't just protest against lack of basic education. They also protested against the Black Education Act, which segregated students based on their race. That is what we are talking about today. Discrimination against race, against children because of their color, because of their religion, because of their probably children that are affected by war, you segregate them. Children that are disabled, special children, children that are physically impaired, you discriminate against them. Children that does not have good quality education. These are what we are talking about today. We are creating awareness to say, you don't discriminate against the children. It is an infringement of their rights. Thank you.
You mentioned that when you were saying you're listing the rights of the child, you mentioned that children shouldn't be tortured.
Yes.
Yes. I have, there are many misconceptions about that word. Sometimes when you give punishments, as we're talking of children, we also include adolescents.
Yes.
So adolescents take it off. If you go to schools, most secondary schools, sometimes when they are being punished, they misunderstand it as kind of abuse. So I would like you to explain to us the differences or the distinguishments between the corporal punishment as punishment for children to correct them and then abuse.
Now I'm going to explain that in a very simple term. Having enumerated those laws, we have so many laws protecting these children. But the law also stipulates that in as much as you're a child and you enjoy these rights, it must be in conformity with the law and also with proper guidance with your parents or guardians. So you don't just blow it out because it's your right, I have freedom of movement, you wake up in the morning, you begin to walk around the street. No, it must be in conformity with the law and proper guidance from your parents or guardians. Thank you.
Okay. Now, when we speak of nowadays in Anambra State, you see a lot of atrocities, not just here, all over the world, but recently, rape, we have cases of rape. So what are the roles of the parents and guardians in making sure that their children are safe within this period, as in this environment?
Today we're talking about access to child-friendly justice system. We can't talk about it without the influence of the parents assisting the government organization to achieve that. One, it is the duty of our parents to guide these children. Even an unborn child has right to be protected. From the time of the child conception, you start to protect that child from abuse, from physical abuse, from a child being used with criminal activities. These are the roles of our parents, the roles our parents should play in protecting those children. You know the environment, who takes care of them, the kind of food they eat, the kind of maintenance you give to them. These are many more. In fact, the role of parents are very essential and very, very important towards the life of a child.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We thank you all, the viewers. This is the end of the first segment. We hope to see you in the second segment. Thank you.
So, first segment, remember, our children have rights, which should just not be recognized, but also implemented. So, let's help them achieve them. So we're going to kick off or round off with a newscasting by an Anambra child. Thanks for watching.
No, n'akụkụ ụwa nke taa n'oge mmemme ụbọchị nwa Afrịka n'afọ 2020 ọka akụkọ bụ Nwaada Oledo Kalụ. Na mbụ gere isiokwu ga-eme akụkọ anyị ga-akọrọ gị. Taa bụ ụbọchị nwa Afrịka n'ụwa niile. Otu UNICEF etinyego uchu n'ịkwalite ọdịmma ụmụntakịrị na ụmụ nwaanyị. Gọọmenti Anambra egosipụtago nkwado ya ịhụ na agbara ụmụazị ọbụla na steeti a ọgwụ mgbochi. Tupu ị nụrụ akụkọ anyị ga-akọrọ gị kịta, gere ozi a pụrụ iche. Ụmụaka anyị bụ nchekwube anyị nwere maka ọdịnihu. Ka anyị chekwaba ikike ruru ha maka inweta ikpe nkwụmọtọ. Gerezi akụkọ anyị nwere kịta. Taa bụ ụbọchị nwa Afrịka n'ụwa niile. Otu UNICEF wepụtara ụbọchị a iji merube ikike ruru nwatakịrị ọbụla na ihe gbasara agụmakwụkwọ, ezi ahụike na ikpe nkwụmọtọ. Gọọmenti Anambra steeti egosipụtago nkwado ya ịhụ na gbara ụmụntakịrị ọgwụ mgbochi. Nke a sitere na ịgba mbọ gọvanọ steeti a bụ Chief Willie Obiano na nwunye ya bụ Odoziakụ Ebele Obiano maka ezi ahụike ụmụaka Anambra. Otu UNICEF etinyego uchu iji kwalite ọdịmma ụmụntakịrị na ụmụ nwaanyị iji hụ na akwụsịrị ọnwụ ndị nne na ụmụaka site na iguzube atụmatụ ọdịmma dị iche iche maka aganihu ha. Ha na-eme nke site na ịkwado gọọmenti n'ọrụ ọma ọ na-alụ maka ọdịmma ụmụ nwaanyị na ụmụntakịrị. N'ebe a ka akụkọ anyị nke taa ga-akwụsị. Ndewo maka ige anyị ntị. Aha m bụ Oledo Kalụ. Ka emesịa.